because I think that's like one of the biggest things that I realized early on is like I almost got like couch drunk where I was just like, I'm buying 2 couches a day. I don't care if there's a good deal or not, you know? If you think you can definitely make 300, then it's probably worth your time. But if you're not sure, and maybe, I might be able to get it for 300 and sell it for 600, maybe, then just don't do it.
Is the importance of having a showroom style storage unit. So could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, man, it's a game changer for sure.
If you know that your main customer base is someone that is new to the city and they need to furnish an entire apartment, then why not sell them something as an add-on?
Right.
This sort of add-on strategy works in all sorts of different areas of commerce.
Right. Acquiring the customer is the hardest part. Once you have them, it's like,
Hey, are you a couch flipper? Ready to flip smarter and faster? What I'm about to share is changing the game for flippers everywhere. Struggling to find lucrative deals? Our app's core feature, the powerful sourcing tool, is your secret weapon. It's not just a tool, it's your eagle-eyed assistant, scouting the best deals across multiple marketplaces. With our app, you'll receive instant notifications for every single couch posted in your area, meaning you will always have the first pick. And now we're rolling out an exclusive feature, one-click instant cross-listing. Imagine listing your incredible finds on Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, and OfferUp with just one tap. It's not just about saving time. It's about multiplying your sales opportunities exponentially. Picture this. You snag a fantastic deal through our sourcing tool. With a flick of your finger, your listing is live on 3 major platforms. More eyes on your product means more sales, and that means more profits. And you're doing it all faster than ever before. Listen to Dario, a regular user who transformed his couch flipping business.
My name is Dario Cortez from Cortez Furnishings, and flipping couches for about a year and 3 months now. Within the first week, we went from flipping 5 couches to 10 couches in like 3 days.
This game-changing combination is available right now. Download Ivy Flip today and be among the first to experience the future of flipping. And here's the best part. You can try Ivy Flip for a week for free. Click the link in the description or search Ivy Flip on the iOS App Store or the Google Play Store.
Kyle, thank you for joining me on this episode of the Couch Pod. Could you go ahead and introduce yourself to our audience?
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. My name's Kyle Grosshanten. I own Pretty Clean Sitting. Me and my fiance run it. And we're based out here in Las Vegas, which seems to be a really good place to do what we're doing. There's constantly people coming and going out of this town. So there's constantly people on pressure selling their couches, and then people that are just coming in. A lot of people that maybe, don't have their furniture because they said, oh, I'm just going to move to Vegas and start over, that type of deal. So a lot of them just come here with nothing. And they come to me and they say, I need a nice couch, but I don't want to spend $2,500 on it. And we've been doing pretty well, man. We've been doing it for about 4.5 months now, full time. And we've been doing pretty good. So it's been fun.
That's awesome. There are quite a few really established couch flippers that I know of in Las Vegas where they're selling anything in the realm of 30, 40, 50 couches a month and beyond. So people making really good 6-figure livings for themselves. What got you interested in couch flipping? How'd you hear about it? How'd you get your start in the game?
Yeah, so I was the general manager at a U-Haul out here. I lived on property. I was working like 40 hours a week. And that's kind of where I started acquiring some used furniture. And it was easy because people would just leave it there in the unit and they didn't want it. And at the time, I was getting free storage because I lived on property. So we got a couple units for free. So I didn't have to pay to store it. So I was like, I'm just going to, clean it up a little bit and put it up on Marketplace. Made a few sales that way. And then I came across Jonathan, one of my mentors, who I would always see him coming in and he would have like 6, 7 storage units. And I could tell he was always like on the go, and like you could tell he's an entrepreneur, and I love those kind of people. Those are my people. So, I finally asked him, like, bro, like, what are you doing? Why are you here every day? Why do you have so many storage units? And he's like, I sell like used gym equipment and couches. And I was like, really? He's like, yeah, man. He's like, I'm telling you, he's like, the couch game, he's like, there's so much potential. And if you work hard, you can make a lot of money. I never really heard of it before. And he was like, yeah, he's like, one of my buddies does it by himself because he's stingy. He doesn't want to hire anyone because he wants all the profit for himself. And he'd over 100K a year. And I'm just like, wow, okay, interesting. I looked it up on YouTube, as many people do, and found a lot of videos of people doing it and started to learn the game. And I was hooked instantly because that's kind of like my personality where like I always want to be doing something. So like I love the gym and everything. So I would like, work out before work and then go to work. But like my evenings were pretty dull because I don't have like a big friend group out here. I try to keep my stuff pretty tight. And it allowed me to always be searching for a deal, always be trying to make a deal, always looking for ways to improve. So I think it even just helped my ADD because there's just always something that I could be doing to improve my business and make it better or make more money or whatever it is. So I slowly got into it that way, and it got to the point where I was renting a U-Haul truck in the morning before work to do a couple pickups, and then I would rent the U-Haul after work to do some drop-offs because this is before I had my truck. So we actually ended up getting a new like regional manager, and when he came in, he's like, "Why are you renting two U-Hauls a day?" He's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm just like selling used furniture." And he noticed at the time I had like 4 storage units already, like 10 by 20s filled up, and I would be like, cleaning them in like the parking area and stuff like that. And he's like, well, that's, you're allowed to rent U-Haul trucks and you're allowed to have a side hustle, but it seems like you care more about your couches than you do U-Haul. And I don't want to say it, but I'm like, of course I do. I don't care about this job. You know what I mean? Like, I want to be able to do my own thing because I've been an entrepreneur for the past like 10 years. I just got the U-Haul job maybe like a year and a half ago, just out of necessity because of COVID messed up my personal training business and stuff like that. So I'm an entrepreneur at heart. So I'm like, yeah, of course I do. So I wasn't at U-Haul much longer after that, as you can imagine. The first month, part time, I did 7,500 profit, and that was just doing like before and after work. And I was just like, damn, man, I made more doing this than my actual job, and I'm doing it part time. So when I ended up letting me go, I was like, this is a blessing, man. I'm like, I'm gonna dive all the way in and give it my best. So
That's a awesome story, one that I've heard quite a few times in different variations. And couch flipping just seems to scratch an itch for a lot of people. They're tired of working in maybe a dead end job, if you could call it that. And they want more opportunity for themselves. And they have this knack for optimization. They want to be pushing things forward instead of checking in and doing the same thing day in and day out. And it sounds like you had a really interesting segue into the couch flipping game, different from most people. A lot of people see it on YouTube first. You see it firsthand, and your situation is unique. You're working at U-Haul. You have access to storage. You have access to trucks, and that maybe gave
right.
you a kick in the pants to get going.
Yeah, I think that was one of the advantages that I had because I didn't have to pay for storage, which is a big deal. The unit we're paying for now is 1,400 a month. So that's a big up in the game that we had. And yeah, having access to the trucks, and then like because I was the manager, like I would have access to like cheap help too. I would ask like my housekeepers like, "Hey man, you want to help me, go pick up a couple couches tonight? I'll throw you $50." And to them they're like, "Oh yeah, $50. Hell yeah, bro." So it made it a lot easier to just have access to everything right there on property, like where I lived. Like I could wake up, walk downstairs, and just start working on couches, selling them, staging them, the whole bit. So it definitely helped me get an up in the game. It got a little bit more tricky when I got fired and I said, how do I transfer this into a business model that makes sense where I don't get to live on property? I have to pay for storage. I don't have access to U-Hauls. Well, I was getting a discount, so I could still rent a U-Haul, but I was getting 25% off everything. So it was like, you know what I mean? I had to make that transition and make it make sense. So it's been a little, more tricky, but it's been more exciting because you get to push the envelope a little bit more as you kind of like try to expand your business, you know?
Yeah, and after you got fired, you said it was a blessing in disguise. Now, for most
100%.
people, getting fired can be a little scary because it's the loss of stable income. But you looked at it as
Hmm.
an opportunity, and instead of trying to get another job and continuing to hustle part time, you decided to jump all in. So, tell me a little bit about your motivation for jumping in instead of taking a step back and maybe going a different direction.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I've been an entrepreneur for most of my life, my adult life. I was a personal training business for a while. As soon as I moved out here to Vegas, like 7.5 years ago, I was doing personal training. I was doing some sales stuff in the fitness world. I was a poker player. I was playing poker on the side. It got to the point where I was making more doing poker than personal training, so I became a poker pro. Did that for a couple of years. COVID made that difficult as well. We had to start running home games, and like I had my own home game where I was running like 2 games twice a week, and it was fun. Don't get me wrong, but it's not the most stable thing ever, you know. So I definitely wanted something more stable at that point because I just needed more of like a routine instead of being up till 4 in the morning hosting these games and stuff. And I've always been a big gym guy, and I started to find myself getting away from that too, like not eating properly and not sleeping properly. So I was like, I need routine. So that's when I did the U-Haul thing, and it kind of served its purpose. I'm not saying I hate it. I appreciate everybody that helped me get that job. Shout out Travis, my marketing company president, who actually got fired before I did. They let him go. So they kind of just did a clean swoop of everybody around that time. But yeah, man, while I was at U-Haul, I was literally just looking for something new that I could dig my teeth into, that I enjoyed, and because I hated U-Haul. It sucked, dude. It's like you're just dealing with crappy people all day, and you're dealing with the HR bullshit, man. There's a lot of it, and I'm just not that guy that gets caught up in drama like that. Like I just can't stand it because I'm just such a straight shooter, and like my intentions are always pure and true, and like everybody tries to put words in your mouth, and I'm like, I hate working for corporations, man. I can't stand it. So I was looking for something that was more entrepreneur like, where I would be my own boss again. And once I started making sales, man, I was like, holy shit. Like some of the first few couches I got were like, I got for like $100 and sold for like $900. And some of the first ones I got, and I'm just like, oh my God, that's $800 in like 15 hours, you know? Like if I can just do this every day, we'll be onto something. I've noticed that it's gotten more difficult, like in the past, like say like month and a half. Sales have slowed down. We've had to lower prices from the prices that we're normally selling at. So I don't know if that's because of just the weather and not a lot of people are buying because it's like cold and windy out right now in Vegas, or the inventory is going up in the city, so there's just more options. I'm not sure why, to be honest. I don't know if you have any ideas on why that might be happening, but
Yeah, I can't say with respect to like a 1 month slump in Las Vegas market. I know another flipper out in Las Vegas had just had a conversation with sales are going really well for him. So there are ebbs and
hmm,
flows, and especially with the volume that you might be doing, it's just
hmm,
subject to variability, right? Like you might have an off month and then
yeah, for
an on
sure.
month, but I don't think that's enough to say anything about the market in general. But I do have some ideas about where markets are heading in the couch flipping game. We can certainly talk about that. But before we get there, what do you think the decision to jump in full time as opposed to continuing to, part time your business ultimately meant for your business in terms of outcomes? Did it give you a leg up, or did it, increase your risk profile? As you reflect back on it now, was it a good or a bad thing?
Yeah, it's huge, man. It's really big because a lot of what our business is opportunistic. If you're not ready to seize the opportunity because you have a prior engagement, you just miss out on it. Plain and simple. So if you have other things going on that are distracting you or taking up your time from the business, you're kind of screwed because I guarantee there's 10 other people in your city that are doing exactly what you're doing and looking for the deal. So if you're not the first one to get it, you're screwed and you just missed out on five, six, $700. You know what I mean? So it's being able to be full time is just so important in this business with even with like doing pickups and making sure that you get the deal, but even sales, like if somebody's like, hey, I'm available from 2 to 4 today, can I come check out your sofas? And you have to say no for whatever reason, they're not going to sit around and wait for you to, be able to meet them. They're going to go look at a different sofa because this is when they have off to look at sofas and get one. And then they have to go back to work. So being available for pickups and customers is just is it's pretty much everything in this business. So there's a lot of ways to also maximize your reach and availability and the eyes on your stuff and stuff like that. And I'm sure we'll probably touch on a lot of that stuff too. But
Yeah, so there's opportunity out there, and it's your job as a couch flipper to go and meet that opportunity, right? People are not going to work or wait for your availability. They want stuff on their time. And making that jump from part-time to full-time, that was one of the main impacts that you saw.
yeah, you gotta be available at all times, man. It's huge. Like even responding right away to people asking you questions about your sofas. If you don't respond for an hour, think about what that person's been doing for the past hour. They're on their phone looking for a couch. They say, oh, I like this one. They send you a message. What do you think? They're just gonna stop looking and put their phone down for an hour and wait for a response? No, they're gonna message 5 people. And if you're one of the first ones that responds to them, you're probably gonna get the sale. So just being on it is huge.
And obviously, you're a user of the IV Flip tool. Have you noticed a difference in sourcing using our technology to get to deals faster?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, there's a lot to talk about with the app. I do love it. It's awesome. It makes things a lot simpler as far as when you're looking for like sourcing couches. I think my favorite thing is how I can block all the other furniture stores, couch flippers, what have you, and I can just because I'm not gonna be buying their deals. They're keen enough to the market where there's not gonna be enough profit margin for me in a deal like that. So I just block all of them, so every couch that does pop up is, an individual looking to get rid of their sofa, which definitely helps. It makes a big difference. The one thing that we talked about that I don't know if you guys are able to eventually improve it, but the reason that on OfferUp, the reason that some of them don't come through until the half hour mark is because I don't know if you know this, but the premium account on OfferUp, it that's what allows you to see them right away. They call it that early access. So regular users of OfferUp, and I'm assuming like your guys' servers or whatever, don't see it until a half hour after it's been up. So I don't know if there's a way to get your servers or what have you on the premium profile so that you see it instantly. But overall, it's been awesome, man. Yeah, I love it because we're so busy as flippers that getting the notification instead of having to remind yourself like, okay, let's log on again and see if any deals popped up. Half hour later, okay, let's log on again and see if any deals popped up. You know what I mean? And instead of having to force yourself to do that, they're just popping up for you, and you can just take a look. If it's not what you want, put your phone down, continue what you're doing. So it's been a really helpful tool for sure. Yeah, it's been awesome, man. It's hard to do it, like I said, without it because you're just constantly searching. And if you're not searching, and you log on and then you see something that you missed out on, you get so pissed off because you're like, oh, I forgot to log on and look. So I think that's a big deal.
Now, what would you say is a bigger problem for you in your business, sourcing or sales at the moment?
It's so weird because it fluctuates so quickly. Like this time last month, I would have said sourcing, but this month I would say I'm focused more on trying to make sales. And it's so weird how it happens like that, dude. Because there'll be a week where I cannot keep a couch in stock. Like as soon as I get them, they go. And then the next week, I'll have quality stuff, and I might make one or two sales. And I'm just like, what happens in that week? Like I've been trying to figure it out, but I don't think there's an actual answer. I just think there's just ebb and flows, like you said, and I don't think there's an actual because it's not like I'm doing anything differently. Like even the same couches. Like I'll get the exact same couches. Like one of them will sell in a day for $800, and then the other one I'll have for 3 weeks, and I'll have to lower it to like 600. And I'm just like, what happened? So weird.
Well, you did start using the app about a month ago, so that might
Uh
have
huh.
something to do with the sourcing issue.
Yeah.
Something that might help with the sales side, just to plug our product really quickly, we recently released a new feature where we allow you to list on multiple marketplaces with the click of a button. And in our beta run, what we observed is that most flippers are just listing on Facebook Marketplace, but there is opportunity on Craigslist and OfferUp. But it's kind of a pain in the butt to go list everything everywhere
Uh
when
huh.
most of your sales are coming in through Facebook. And so just by cross listing using our tool, you're able to get something like 10-20% more sales on average. And that was observed over a two-month beta run with some of our customers. So if you haven't checked that out
Yeah. Like I
already,
said,
just
I've only
having
had
a
to
little
try
bit
it.
more.
It's very interesting. I think if you can eventually run out a iPhone friendly version, then I think it'd be super beneficial. For me at least. I mean, I'm sure there's a ton of people that can do that. Like, I'm not super focused on Craigslist right now. I didn't have any success with it, so I kind of just forgot about it. OfferUp's been, for me, OfferUp's been literally quite, it's been as good as Marketplace, put it that way. So I think it's a really underutilized tool. They have ways to optimize your sales as well with the premium, and you can do promoted posts. They do end up charging you $1 per post after the first 25 in the furniture category, I believe. But still, I mean, even if you end up posting and it costs you $50 for 50 posts that month, how many extra couches did you sell? It's definitely worth it. Just like the Ivy flip, some might say that it's expensive, but it's like if you sell one extra couch, it's already paid itself off and then some. So, it's all relative business, that.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, with the new feature that we just released in the app, it allows you to create the draft on your phone, but then you have to
Hmm.
go to a computer with a Chrome extension in order to post it. So there is
Right.
this extra step where you have to click a button on a desktop, but
Uh-huh.
overall, it still saves people a bunch of time, right? If you're going to be listing on both Facebook, OfferUp, and in your case, maybe not Craigslist, but some people make sales on Craigslist as well. For
Yeah.
people that are using OfferUp, one of the key features is the ability to relist. So one thing you'll notice on OfferUp, if you ever look at your views chart, is that it
Mhm.
drops off precipitously after the first couple days. And so it's really not going to get more distribution. The only way is to relist the same, archive the post, and
Yeah.
then relist it. And so
Yeah.
instead
Yeah.
of having to go through that process step by step all over again, you can just simply copy the previous listing in our platform and then with the click of a button, relist on OfferUp. Facebook has that native relist feature, but OfferUp
Yeah.
doesn't enable that yet. So I highly encourage you to
Right.
check it out if sales has been challenging for you. Now,
Yeah. Interesting. I'll definitely check it out.
one other thing I wanted to touch on is on the topic of sourcing. You used to work at U-Haul. People are constantly leaving quality furniture in their U-Haul storage units. Have you continued to tap into that as a source of inventory? And what do you think of that as an option for flippers that are looking to diversify and find new inventory?
Yeah, honestly, man, I think it's a waste of time. Specifically in the place that I was at, the U-Haul I was at was not in a good area. So it was very, very few and far between where you would find quality furniture in these units that people left behind. 95% of the units that went to auction would sell for $10 because it was just full of crap, you know? I don't think I found one sofa there that was quality. So I really don't think it's worth anyone's time, especially because if there is a unit full of nice furniture that you happen to come across, there's no way for you to take advantage of being first. So you're going to be competing against all the other people that are at the unit and it's at auction. So now you're bidding on it versus a bunch of other people that are doing the same thing you're doing. And 99% of the time, you're not just going to get a couch. You're going to get a full house worth of furniture that you now have to handle and get rid of. So it's just not worth your time. It's way more beneficial, I think, to focus on finding the deal and finding ways to make sure you're the one that capitalizes on the deals when they pop up.
Got it. Well, you heard it here first, folks. I do know some flippers that get inventory from auctions, but a little bit of a different strategy there than trying to get that direct from U-Haul.
I think estate sales and stuff like that is completely different too, because you can just buy the sofa itself. You don't have to get the whole unit. Because it's not like they're going to open a storage unit and there's just going to be this big, beautiful sectional and nothing else in there. And $20, okay, deal. Like it doesn't work that way.
Now let's move on to your sales strategy, the other
Hmm.
key aspect of running a flipping business. Now, one
Hmm.
thing that you and I have discussed in private conversation is the importance of having a showroom style storage unit. So could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, man, it's a game changer for sure. Because when I was at U-Haul, I would have three of the storage units and they'd all be next to each other, but it's a 10 by 20. So in order to get enough sectionals in there, you'd have to stand them up a lot of the time, make sure you have an aisle way down the middle in case you need to pull one out. So there's just not enough room. When somebody would come and they would look at a sofa and they'd be like, that's not really what I was looking for. And they go, do you have anything else? And then I would have to be like, yeah, like, check out this unit. And I'd open the door and they would all be standing up and, they're walking through like, what does this look like when it's put together? And then you have to be like, well, let me put it together for you. I just have to pull out these other three first and then set this one up. It's like, oh my God, it was a nightmare. So having that showroom style setup is a game changer. You can just have them walk in, everything's set up, it's already staged. It has, the throw pillows on it. It has a little carpet, maybe a little table. Everything's clean. And they literally just get to walk around and look at the sofas, sit on them. You know what I mean? Having that sales experience is a game changer for sure. Because I can't tell you how many times somebody came to see a sofa and they go, wow, you have a lot to choose from. And then they walk around. Next thing you know, they're sitting on a $1,200 sofa when they came to buy a $700 one. That actually happened last week. Somebody came to buy a $700 one and I had one up for 1475, big leather reclining sectional, and the wife sat on it, and I said, it's plugged in. You can use the electric recliner and try it out. And she lays back and she goes, oh, and I was like, got him. It's a wrap. So having that accessibility for your customers is huge.
So at any given time, how many couches do you have on display? Basically, every couch that you bring in, you set up and stage right there, or is it just a selection?
Yep, yeah, everything's there. I have a two-car garage that if we have like overflow, if we have like one or two extra, I can throw them in there for just holding. But we keep everything in the it's like a mini warehouse style. I think it's like 25 by like 75, something like that. And it has like a big bay door and it's like, maybe like 3 stories high, so there's just like a ton of space in there. So it's a game changer, man. Allowing people to walk around and we actually just started doing mattresses too, because I can't tell you how many times somebody was like, do you guys sell anything else? Do you have mattresses? Do you have dressers? This and that. I just moved to Vegas. I need a bed too. If you had one, I would just have you bring that with the couch. So I'm like, why would I not just have like 10 mattresses in the back of my unit so they can just get one if they need one, Even if I'm making $150 on it, who cares? It's just added profit to your sale.
So this is an interesting segue because it leads to one of my predictions for where the used couch flipping market is headed. I
Yeah,
think,
you were mentioning that.
yeah, so I think first, more and more side hustlers are going to get into the game full time and they're going to treat it like a real business. So instead of operating out of your house, garage, single storage unit, doing it in your spare time, more and more people are going to jump in head first and they're going to be putting in 40, 50, 60 hours a week and making it their own thing. There are a lot of reasons for that. The first is something that you mentioned, which is part of this business is opportunistic. So you have to get to the deal first. You have to be available when your customers are. And it's just a huge advantage. And so it makes it harder to be profitable and efficient if you're just side hustling.
Yep, 100%.
The other thing is that we're starting to lay out the roadmap. So the industry is becoming more mature. If you were doing this on your own 5 years ago, there's not a lot of other businesses around that are doing the same thing that you can look at and say, hey, they're doing pretty well with this.
Yeah.
And now in 2024, that the game has changed, right? The roadmap is there, the blueprint is there, the information is there, and there are plenty of examples of other people who are very successful at their couch flipping business that you can learn from, and you can learn from and take aspects from their business in order to improve your own. Third, there might be some aspect with like the economy as well, but I won't get into the mechanics of that.
Yeah.
So that's the first trend. I see more and more people jumping into this game from part-time to full-time. The second is, as these businesses become more robust, they have their own brand, they have their own website, they have their own brick and mortar location, maybe a showroom. I think they're going to start selling different kinds of furniture. Because to your point,
Because why not?
why not,
Yeah.
right? If you know that your main customer base is someone that is new to the city and they need to furnish an entire apartment,
Yeah.
then why not sell them something as an add-on?
Right.
This sort of add-on strategy works in all sorts of different areas of commerce.
Right. Acquiring the customer is the hardest part. Once you have them, it's like, take advantage of it.
Once you have that relationship, they're getting friendly with you, they trust you as a vendor, and they have a need that you can meet. Why not sell them more things?
Yeah. Easy.
And where you're sourcing inventory from, it tends to be the same situation. People moving out who need to get rid of things. And is it that they only have to get rid of their couch, or are there other bulky items that they probably don't want to bring with them that they're also looking to get rid of? And so both on the sourcing and the sales side, there seems to be a solution that flippers are uniquely equipped to provide. And this is actually our major thesis about this market. It's a big part of why we at Ivy Flip are involved in the couch flipping market. To begin with, it's because we see where this is headed. So think about it this way. If you are a tenant moving out of an apartment building, you have to dispose of all of the items in that apartment, or you have to clean out that apartment in order to change hands. Otherwise, you're going to be charged a disposal fee. So what ends up happening a lot of the time is they don't know what to do with the furniture. They don't want to bring it with them. Maybe they don't want it. And so they'll just haul it out to the dumpster. And maybe they can get away with that. There aren't cameras and the landlord doesn't know who brought this out to the dumpster. And then it becomes the landlord's problem. But at the end of the day, these items are just being disposed of. And otherwise, you have to move it with you. You have to hire a mover. You have to move it yourself. You have to put it in the truck, bring it to a new location. And if you hire a junk removal company to do the work for you, minimum, we're talking $150, right? To come move a piece of furniture out of your house. You can't even donate it for free, right? Because
I just found that out the other day. They charge you to come pick it up. I'm like, what?
They charge you to come pick it up.
That's
and so
insane.
flippers occupy a very unique role in this local logistics supply chain. They're the only link in the chain that can re-enable the usage of this furniture. They're able to take the value that is still in that couch or still in that table and extract it, and then at the same time provide a service to the person who's moving out and the person that is moving in. It's a missing link in the chain. It actually solves a really big problem. And that's why we think, there's a huge market for what flippers are doing. And it's not just constrained to couches. There's a lot of opportunity out there. And over time, more and more people are going to figure out, how do we tap into this value? How do we create value for our customers? And that's what's really going to drive the growth of the industry. It's my belief.
Yeah. So how are you preparing for that change?
So one thing is, when we started, we were just a sourcing tool, right? We talked to a couple flippers. We realized there was a community of flippers out there. And we asked them, hey, what's the biggest problem in your business? A lot of them said, well, if I could find good furniture, I could sell the furniture, no problem. And they're telling us, we're having these issues. We're always on our phones, on Marketplace, constantly searching. We have to get to the deals first. We're like, okay, we think we can provide a solution for that. Hence the sourcing tool. Then we released the cross-listing update, which is actually just this past week. And that's with the idea of helping our flippers get more distribution on multiple marketplaces. So it can help them with the sales problem a bit, help them manage their time a little bit more efficiently. The next step is to help them build more of the infrastructure that is needed for running a small business. So if you're going to take that jump from being a side hustler into a full-time brand,
It's a lot.
you have a brick and mortar, you have monthly rent for a warehouse, you have a website that you're marketing on, maybe you're paying for advertising. Now there's a lot more involved, right? And so something simple that we could do is help you build that website, help you run your advertising. We could help you manage your inventory. So our idea is to build a vertically integrated stack of software that you can use to run your entire flipping business on. So it's not just about helping you get to deals first. It's everything you need from a technology perspective to run your couch flipping business. And that's really where our vision for how we're going to work with couch flippers is moving in the future. And it's not just the technology, it's about getting that information out there too.
Very interesting. Yeah, I mean, I thought about that aspect of like having a website and doing the paid advertising and things like that. I see other flippers doing it. I don't think it makes sense for me right now. I think it may in the future. I think that marketing, doing paid marketing on like an Instagram and Facebook, directing them to our Instagram where we have all of our couches, directing them to the Facebook page, directing them to the Facebook group that we have for all of our couches. I think that stuff makes a lot of sense. So, because you can target locally and you'll have all your inventory right there. So the website seems like an added step right now that's not necessary. Maybe eventually, it's just like trying to do the whole marketing thing has been a nightmare. Like I tried to hire somebody locally that did that type of thing, and they had the drone because I wanted the drone to like be able to fly through the showroom and like have us at the end of it, and they get to see the whole bit. And I was gonna pay him like $500 to create this like commercial or ad for us. And he showed up and like opened the drone up and turned it on, and as soon as he turned it on, it was just like just flew right into the wall and exploded. And I was just like, I'm like, all right, I guess no drone footage. And then, he had a bunch of other good footage. We still did the whole thing. And then he just like disappeared. He was just like, yeah, I don't feel like doing it anymore. And I'm just like, sweet. So it's like, it's been hard to find good help, like you're saying. So yeah, there's that is the next step. And then and then the next step further is hiring help and having somebody help with pickups and pick up and help with deliveries. So you don't always have to be the person that's doing it. You can be doing something else to help your business. You don't always have to be on hand at every juncture in your business. And I think that's kind of where I'm leading right now. I think we need to be double the size that we are right now. I think because we usually have like 13, 15 sectionals at a time. So I think if we had 30, it would be worth doing pretty considerable like online marketing, and it would be helpful to either get another truck and hire someone to help with pickups and deliveries, or allow them to use the truck and trailer that I have, something like that. But I think at the current state, it's tough because it's a big step. Like when you hire people for the first time for your business, it's such a big step. You have to be so ready for it because if you do it too early, it's just going to crush you. So,
Absolutely. One thing about having more inventory that I can promise you will happen is that the ebbs and flows in your business will decrease.
yeah,
Right? It's just simple logic there.
which is exactly
Your
what I want to happen.
your ability to sell a couch depends on the inventory that you have, which is why when I talk to flippers initially, they're like, well, if I could find more good couches, I could sell more good couches. And so if you have 30 couches in inventory and all of those couches have visibility, they're all being listed and customers
Yeah,
can find those couches, you increase the likelihood that you're going to be able to sell a couch in a given week. And
yeah,
so it's not that your sales will double, it's just that your sales
it'll be
numbers
more steady.
will be more steady. It'll be more
Yeah.
predictable for you.
And the thing about it is, it's not just sourcing the couches, it's being able to store 30 couches. Like, it's not that easy because I don't like, even at the storage place that I'm at now, I don't even think they have another big warehouse style unit available. So you know what I mean? So it's not as easy as just like, okay, just open the door next door, let's set it up, let's get it going. It's like a lot goes into it, man. You know, I might have to relocate the whole thing. So
Right. That might be, you might have to get a much larger warehouse, more square footage. And for example, I had a guy on the podcast the other day. His name is Austin Clark. And after part timing for a little bit, he dove straight in just as you did and started full timing. And he had a background in remodeling. So he was able to take a pretty dilapidated warehouse and make it look really nice, complete with 3 staging areas where, you know, he'd move couches around and take photos in different environments just to give it a different look and feel. And it's made a huge impact for his business. When you're at the beginning of making a decision like that, it's hard because it's unpredictable. You don't know for sure that your investment is going to pay off. And so there's risk, right? You're like, I'm going to sign this lease. It's a year-long lease. I'm going to be in the hole for $3,000 a month. I don't know if I can make $3,000 a month because I haven't done that before, right? Or like I haven't covered that kind of expense before.
right.
But if you knew with certainty that you could take that step and it would pay off, people would do it. So I think it's not that these are bad decisions to make. It's that these decisions need to be de-risked. And the way that you can de-risk is by learning the model from other people.
Right.
So
Sure.
even what you're saying about the website and marketing, and, you know, if I could guarantee you with certainty, hey, every dollar you put into marketing, you're going to make $3 back. You'd make that investment in a heartbeat. But it's the execution risk that makes it difficult. It's the fact that you don't know, which is how do I run ads successfully? How do I create a website? So my belief is it's not just about, my belief is we need to put that information out there, right? People need to know you don't know how to build a website. Well, here's an easy way to do that, right? You don't know how to run ads. Well, here's strategies for how to run ads. You don't know how to, create a showroom. Here's how you do that. But it's also to give them the assistance that they need along the way. Because, no matter how much you tell me, here's how you go code, right? Go code an application. I'm not going to be the one actually coding the application. I need engineers to go build the application for me. So if the flipper is self-capable of taking those steps, we want to give them the info they need so that they can take those steps. But if they're unable or unwilling to do it themselves, then we want to provide that assistance. I'll give you a really good example of this. I saw on a Facebook group the other day, a guy got a quote from a web development company to create a website. And he initially was quoted $700 for the website design. All fine and dandy. But then there were these extraneous charges, which were like $1,500 upfront fee to buy the domain for lifetime domain purchase. And then $2,700 to purchase a hosting server. And he went on the group. He's like, is this a good quote? I don't know what I'm looking at. Not his fault. He just doesn't know what he doesn't know. But the reality is, like, you can license a domain on an annual basis. You don't need to buy it outright for a lifetime, right? Like, you can just renew it every year. And you don't need to buy and maintain your own hosting server. You can just rent on a monthly subscription cloud hosting, like for like $10 a month. So, people are getting taken advantage of because they don't know what they don't know. And there's a lot of this going around with technology and in the marketing space in particular, where, it's easy to sell a dream, right? Which is, hey, you give me money, I'm going to make you more money back. Right. And look at my portfolio of success. But a lot of people get taken advantage of in that process, which is why I think people shy away from marketing. But in reality, if you want to build a brand, which I think is absolutely necessary to become independent from these marketplaces, because Facebook shuts off your account, OfferUp changes your algorithm in some way, all of a sudden your listings aren't getting views. That can be extremely destructive to your business. And so, people need to take that step in establishing themselves independently off of these platforms, but it's hard to do. It's
It
hard to
is
do.
hard
And
to do. It takes time and experience, and like you say, it definitely helps if you have somebody helping you along the way. I think that a lot of the people that get into this business aren't actual entrepreneurs. This is kind of like an entry level thing into the entrepreneurial world, right? So a lot of people are just coming from their 9 to 5 job and saying, I don't want to do that anymore. And they find couch flipping. But like you say, like not everybody's like you and me, where we've been entrepreneurs for 10, 15 years, and we understand the game, we understand the marketing and sales and how all this stuff works. So a lot of people can get taken advantage of, or you know once you're new to that game, it's very overwhelming for sure. So you know what I mean. I think what you're saying would have a lot of utility for especially like new flippers, new entrepreneurs, stuff like that.
so, looking forward into 2024, what are some goals that you've set for yourself, some ideas you have for improving your business moving into the future, leaning on your entrepreneurial background?
Yeah, I want to get to the point where, like you said, we're more independent, because this last week it's been making me think, why have sales slowed down? And is it something we're doing? Is it something in the market? Is it just, we just don't have enough inventory to keep sales steady? I think that is a big part of it. So I think that a big step is going to be getting to the point where we have double the inventory. Instead of 15, we have more like 30. And we have paid ads going that are directing people to the Instagram and the Facebook. And I want to get to the point where I have help, because if it's 30 sofas and now I have to do twice the work, I'm gonna get burnt out, and I already know that. You know what I mean? There's only so much that you can do as an entrepreneur in a week, especially when it comes to physical labor. Like my lower back hurts. I'll tell you right now, it's not easy moving these sofas every day. So I want to be get to the point where I can profitably hire help and have it be somebody that represents my business, somebody I can trust, because you really do have to trust these people, especially if you're sending them to do pickups and you're buying a sofa for $400. You have to give this person $400 and trust that they're going to do what you want. So I'm trying to figure out how to make that make sense. But yeah, man, that's pretty much it for 24. I want to do 150K this year. I want to have double the inventory that we have right now. And I want to be becoming more independent off of relying on these platforms. That's the goal.
If you had one piece of advice for a flipper who has just gotten started and looking to take their business to the next level, what's something that you've learned in the past couple of months that you would tell them?
Oh, that's a good question. Because there's so much. There's such a short learning curve. As soon as you get into it, you just instantly start learning so much. And you start to learn like what's important and what's worth your time. I think that's the biggest thing, is like, stop doing all these little things that don't actually pay off and they're not worth your time. And especially if it's a side hustle, your time is so valuable, and because you only probably have a couple hours a day. So I would say, get to know your market is a big thing. See what other flippers are selling. Try to notice which ones come and go really quickly. Look at the pricing of everything, so you can be competitive. And then make sure you're finding a deal that isn't going to be a waste of time. Because I think that's like one of the biggest things that I realized early on, is like I almost got like couch drunk, where I was just like, I'm buying 2 couches a day. I don't care if there's a good deal or not. So I would pick up like 2 in the morning and then make some deliveries in the evening. And some of these couches were just crap, and I would be overpaying for them. And you kind of realize really quickly, like, dude, this couch weighs like 300 pounds. Like, you're like, yeah, like I only paid $200 for it, but I'm only gonna get like 250 a month later. And it was a complete waste of time and effort, and I hurt my back doing it. So it's like, one of those things is, make sure it's going to be worth your time in the beginning, because your time is so valuable. So, make sure it's a popular sectional that looks nice, no crazy colors, all that type of stuff. You know what I mean? Just make sure it's something that's going to be worth your time. Don't try to force it because there's always a couch to buy, right? But is it worth your time? I think a good number in the beginning is, do I really think I can make $300 on this couch? If you think you can definitely make 300, then it's probably worth your time. But if you're not sure, and maybe, I might be able to get it for 300 and sell it for 600, maybe, then just don't do it.
I think that's a good rule of thumb. And 300 is a benchmark that I've heard from other successful couch flippers as well.
Yeah.
You touch on a very interesting point. It can be very hard to know what's worth your time in the early days. And it's not just as simple as, can you make $300? That's probably the most important thing. But
Hmm.
for example, how much money can I make on this couch? How long is it going to take me to sell the couch? How far do I need to drive in order to
Yep.
get the couch?
It's all relative, right?
How hard is it going to be to get the couch out of this building? How heavy is the
That's a big
couch?
one, man. That's a big one. Like, people don't think about that. Like, you don't think to say, is it on the third floor, or like, what floor is it on, or like, does it come apart, or does it fit through the front door? Like, you don't think to ask like that. And I remember, like, when I was first starting out, I found this like purple velvet sofa, and it was a section. It was beautiful, and the guy was giving it away for free. So I'm like, hell yeah, I'm there, And I show up, and it's like a high rise apartment, and it doesn't fit through the front door. Literally, I had to get maintenance to come up and help me take the door off just to get it out. And it was just a night. I was there all day. It was a nightmare. I did end up selling it for like 750, so it was probably worth my time. But you don't think about that stuff when in the moment. You're just like, oh my god, good deal. I gotta go get it. And it's on the other side of town, and like you have no help, and it's like you really have to consider everything. So yeah, there's a lot to think about.
Absolutely. Well, we flip out in New York City now. And as a key part of our due diligence in evaluating a pickup, we ask all these questions. Is someone available to assist us moving it out of the building? Will it fit through the door? Is this an elevator building? Is it a walk up? And we lose deals because of it.
Yeah, because they don't feel like dealing with it. The last thing they want is to put more time and effort into them trying to get rid of some old couch. They just want somebody that's going to say, hey, I'll come get it right now. And that's 100% true, especially with the free ones out here. Like, even if you ask, like, what's that mark on that one cushion? They won't even respond because they have 10 other people saying, hey, I'll come get it right now. So it's like, it's one of those things where you get to really have to get good at gauging, does this seem like this is going to end up being worth my time? You know what I mean? You can't even, it's almost like, because I did that for a while where I had a script and I would just copy and paste it and send it to them with all the questions that I wanted answered. People were like, who does this guy think he is? I'm trying to give this thing away for free, and they think I'm going to do an investigation on this? So yeah, it's just one of those things that comes with over time, right? You just get better at, like, is it probably going to be worth my time? So
Yeah, we actually ran the numbers. Like, what is the opportunity cost? So there are free pickups or couches that we think could be really good buys, but we end up spending 8-10 hours in work processing that couch, picking it up, cleaning it, delivering it to the next person.
right.
And in that time, we could have just made 2 other flips that weren't as profitable, but were much easier to make. And so, yeah, we've just made it standard policy to skip over couches like that if we can't get adequate information, unless it's like a really, really good deal.
Right. Yeah, for sure, man. Because especially as you get older, like, you got to think, how easy is this flip going to be? Am I going to, like, need an Epsom salt bath later tonight, or?
Absolutely. And it depends on your market. We're in New York City, and there is a huge abundance of inventory in New York City, but it's a very hard market to get started in. It's super expensive, and traffic, and park your car in the wrong place, you come back, it's booted and towed, and so
That sounds awful, honestly, because a lot of them are probably not on the first floor, and you're just dealing with traffic, and then not only that, you're dealing with the New Yorkers themselves.
So actually, the New Yorkers are great. Like,
Really?
the New Yorkers are great, like, because New Yorkers have money. A lot of
Yeah,
them do.
that's true, but a lot of them are pretentious assholes. So, the money doesn't make them good people, right?
Well, I think there's 25 million people in New York. Not all of them are assholes. We've had pretty good
Yeah, yeah.
interactions with a lot of our customers, but But the thing the redeeming quality I will say about working in New York is that people are giving away $3,000, $4,000 retail sectionals for free.
Yeah.
And then they're also not batting an eye at dropping $1,200 on a decent used sectional.
Sure.
So
Yeah, it's a different market, right? It's very different.
it's more transactional. You know, you got to, like, if you're a professional and you present yourself in a certain way and, you know, you're providing quality service, they tend to appreciate that. You don't need to, like, you know, tell them, you don't need to become their best friend, tell them a story about your grandmother.
Yeah, answer 20 questions about the couch. It's like, dude, come on.
You need to just, you need to play ball. And, you know,
Yeah.
we're happy to do that. So I think we do pretty okay out here.
I think out there they realize how important time is money. So, you know what I mean? If you're going to provide a good service and make it easy and quick, done. Let's go.
Exactly. Yep. So it's just business. So
Yeah.
in some ways I prefer it like that, right? Like I don't get me wrong. I like our customers and I love having these kinds of conversations, but at the core is a business relationship. And I always prioritize that. And so, you know, like I never put my personal emotions in business. I try not to, right?
Yeah.
Always keep things tight, always keep things professional, and, you know, just compartmentalize. I think that's the way to, at least for me. And everyone has a different style. So.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I've been actually thinking about, because the markets are so different in different cities. I've been thinking about going to, like, because I know one of the guys that you had on your podcast did this, where he would go to like Atlanta with like a big truck and just get a bunch of sofas and come back. I thought about doing that, but I mean, Vegas, all the deals are pretty much here. I would have to go to, like, Utah or Arizona or California, and I think their sofas will be more expensive in California for pickups. And I question how many used sofas are in, like, Utah. Like, I'm sure there's a small market, but I think I'm already in the epicenter of the area, so I don't really think there's any point.
Yeah, I agree with you. I've talked to a couple flippers now that utilize the Geo-Arbitrage strategy, where they go to one location, do pickups, and bring it to another one. It's always from smaller to larger.
Yeah,
There's no one going larger to smaller.
right.
Maybe
Exactly.
one guy. Yeah, let's just scratch that. Yeah, yeah. Most people smaller to larger. That seems to be the move. But hey,
Yeah,
Kyle, appreciate you joining me on the Couch Pod. I think this was really informative. Great chat for our audience to drop in on. Yeah, and just thank you for your time.
absolutely, man. Thanks for having me. Good luck with everything. I'm sure we'll talk again.
Absolutely. We'll be in touch.